You're listening to Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. Here are your hosts, Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick, and Sean Duffy.
And welcome to Sports on Tap. I'm your host, Rob Troutman. We have Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick, Sean Duffy, live from Z's Cream and Bean in Hinckley, Ohio, 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley. A great place for some ice cream, for some other things, because it's pretty cold outside right now. But they do have hot chocolate. They do have great coffee. I believe they have chili as well. They have all kinds of different options here for you. So I want to thank everyone for listening. We're going to talk a little Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League as the Barron Cup starts next week. And it's going to be fun. We'll be out there on Wednesday to broadcast live. Hope everyone can join us out there. Come say hi. We have a big show here tonight, all kinds of guests. And I know they're excited to get started in the Barron Cup. And we'll first start with the Lakewood head coach. And he's been around a while. We've talked a little bit before the show. Mark Ferfolia is here from the Blue Division. For Chagrin Falls, it's Jim Revak. Is in first place in the White Division. Thanks for joining us. And for Hudson, Caleb Wyse. He's in first place in the Red North Division. Caleb, thanks for joining us. All you guys, thanks for taking time tonight to join us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
We're going to have all three of them join this interview today, so because I know a lot of them have practice tonight and won't take up a ton of their time all tonight. So we'll have some fun, guys, and talk a little Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League hockey here today. And we'll first start with Lakewood coach Ferfolia. You know, you've been around, what you were saying, 38 years?
This is my 38 years.
I mean, that's impressive. Wow.
Thanks. It's been a great run.
He's just old.
There we go. We're not pulling any punches already. I like it.
That's
Getting
right.
after it.
No,
Nice.
It's been fun. It's been a great 38 years.
Now, you know, you look at Lakewood, and you guys, what an improvement you guys have had this year. You won one game last year, and a turnaround. Now you go from one win to first place. Talk about the change and the difference from a year, really.
Well, I think you can't do it without players. I think any coach will tell you that. And we were very fortunate to get an influx of 4 players, including a goaltender this year, a really talented young goalie. And that has made all the world of the difference for us. I mean, he's played very well for us and kept us in a lot of games when maybe there were some nights we shouldn't have been. And so the kids have responded well. Plus, the second year into a system, they've done a nice job.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive that you can have that turnaround and really get the players to believe because, you know, after a 1-15 season, maybe their confidence might not be at the top. But you and your experience, I'm sure, this year you've had probably more ups than downs. How have you done it with players? You know, with the goaltender, did he have previous experience, or you know, how do you teach these kids, you know, the fundamentals of hockey to start?
Well, you have to go back to the basics, and that's exactly what we've done. And not only spending a lot of time on working on their skating ability, and the goaltender was experienced, played double A's for North Olmsted a year ago, so he was an experienced young goalie. But one of the things we had to do is put them in a pretty disciplined and structured system and get them to believe in it. And after a little bit of success early in the year, they did believe in it, and that's made all the difference in the world.
You're also coach of the USA Hockey. You've been involved with that as well.
I've been involved with USA Hockey for about 30 years, and I've been involved at the high school level as a vice president of high school. It's been fun to watch all that. All of the coaches that you see coaching in the high school league have been involved in USA Hockey at one point or another, coaching squirts or bantams or peewees. I know Caleb and Jim have both done it. I've coached against them many times at that level, and it's been great to be involved with kids growing up. And I've been involved all the way from working with kids 6 years old and up. So, in fact, I bet my fellow coaches would agree with me that there's a lot of enjoyment watching and working with young kids as they're developing their skills.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, I'm still involved in youth hockey a lot. I do the off-season coaching of high school, but I still like to play with the little ones because those are the future for each one of our teams. I remember starting with the Garfield program. Mark was involved there, and we started a mini-mite program out in Geauga and we base it off of what we saw at Garfield. And so it's nice to spread it around. We wrote our bylaws at the youth program with the help of the Kent program. So all in the family, and it's just whatever it takes to grow the sport and get more kids playing. We need it at the high school level. As you could tell, one or two players make the difference just by Mark's success.
Yeah, and it seems like it is kind of a community type of deal, with other coaches involved. Like, you guys are obviously at different schools, but over the course of the last decade or so, you guys are working together to build this up. No matter where you're at. I mean, just something I always like to ask coaches of other sports is, especially if you guys are a little more experienced than maybe some of the other coaches that we've talked to. How have the things changed for you guys on the coaching end now, as opposed to maybe when you first got into it, when you did?
No, I haven't been coaching that long. Not as long as these two guys have been. Actually, I was playing against Mark as a player while he was coaching, but
and he was an awful good one too.
Thanks, but I think like the guy said, getting back into youth hockey. Getting more guys involved that played in the youth hockey will definitely help the sport a lot. Giving back like these guys do. I put 8 years in at Shaker. Myself run the youth hockey program, 2 years at Menor. Just giving back, and these two guys they're a foundation. They're a foundation.
I would agree with Caleb on that. You work with young players, and even our own high school players. It's so great to see them involved and then give back to the game at the youth level. I know I try to get a lot of my players involved with their local youth programs. And, the younger kids look up to those high school players and enjoy when they're out there working with them. So it's great mentoring them and getting them involved.
And you look at Chagrin Falls and Coach Revak. You've also had a losing season last year, and what a turnaround you guys had this year. Talk a little bit about how you go from last year to this season where you're in first place.
Well, it's difficult. We are obviously brought the program back for just 3 years now since we didn't have a team. And just as Mark says, it's just about the players. I mean, right now we have a squad of 23 players. When we started with 9. So That's the big difference. So the fact that we have those kind of bodies on the ice, it's a long season. It's a grueling season. You always have injuries. There's always something that happens, whether it's grades or concussions are kind of rampant right now. And as soon as somebody goes down, it's nice to be able to plug somebody back in. I think that's what you see maybe in the difference of the different divisions is numbers. We have a little bit more numbers in the white than they do in the blue, and a lot more numbers in the red. And that just makes all the difference in the world. That helped our team this year, being able to have that many players.
And are these players that have played like their entire lives, and now that Chagrin Falls re-upped on hockey, is it all right? Cool, we have somewhere to play that's right in our hometown. How does your team build from there?
Well, that's an interesting question because it is a mix. I mean, we have several beginners that started maybe when they were freshmen. They're now playing on regular shifts when they're juniors, and there's a constant flow of that just to try and build the numbers. But you got to have these the ones that coming out of the youth programs that have played hockey since they were 7 or 8 years old. So for us, it's just a mix. We're always weaving in some of the newer guys with the very skilled players. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't beat having a good goaltender. I mean, our goaltender's been playing fantastic this year. Same with Mark, sounds like. And I know the Hudson goaltender's pretty darn good himself. So.
Now talk about how you wanted to come to Chagrin Falls. You coached at Kenson, which is a rival school right down the road. How tough was it to decide to come back and coach at Chagrin Falls?
It was all about the rivalry. We wanted to reinstitute that. I mean, you can't imagine the crowds. I mean, we've had crowds as high as 800 or 900 people in the rink for that game, that one game. Even if we're not in the same division, that's the game that you want to win. It's the Ohio State, Michigan of our little community there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that difficult. I mean, I knew the players from youth hockey. I probably knew more of the Chagrin players than I did of the Kenston players. So it was very easy to come back. Certainly knew the parents that were organizing the comeback of that team. So It's difficult during the game, though, with my wife sitting over on the other side. Her two sons had played at Kenston, so she roots for Kenston whenever we're doing that game.
That's got you go home, and the wife, is she happy if Kenston wins, or is she going to be on your side there?
Oh, no, she's not on my side.
Well, now let's talk to Caleb. He's in first place in the red with the Hudson team. And Caleb, you said you haven't been coaching too much, but you've done a heck of a job. Last year with Hudson, you were in the Barron Cup, won finals against Shaker. Talk about last season as to this season so far for you guys.
Let's see. Well, we had a pretty good team last year. Not too much fall off from this year. We lost some key players, but the other guys stepped up and filled in right away. So Stroud, Core, our goaltender, stepped in for Austin Ganley, who graduated, and it hasn't been that hard of a transition. So it's just kept the wheels going, I guess. Just kind of flowed right into next season without any problems.
And that's kind of a nice thing. That probably doesn't happen too often, that you get a lot of players coming back, especially key players. So that's a good thing for you, especially so far this year. You've been impressive, and the number one seed right now going into the Barron Cup.
Now, guys, we mentioned a lot about the youth programs tonight, and Chagrin just 3 years ago didn't have a team. Talk about a little for high school hockey. There seems to be more challenges, not only setting up youth programs and actually keeping a team as compared to other sports. Let's say the popular ones, football and basketball. So, talk about some of the challenges that you guys have faced and how you've overcome those in your years, playing and coaching.
Well, I think one of the most difficult challenges is the financial challenge that hockey represents. You take young parents nowadays, and they get faced with the choice of putting their son or daughter into youth soccer, where it costs maybe $40 and a pair of shorts, and all of a sudden then they're in youth hockey, where it's going to cost them $600, $700, $800 for equipment and also the participation fees. And that's a challenge, and I think USA Hockey has addressed that by doing a lot of play for free programs and a lot of equipment handed out at the youth rinks. I know a number of the rinks, Jim, I think at the Pond you guys got 100 sets a year or so ago for the youth program.
Right.
And so I think USA Hockey has tried to address that. But that's what the real challenge is. It's financial, keeping them involved, because it's not a cheap sport to play.
That's true. And USA Hockey's done a nice job of promoting it. We have Try Hockey for Free Day. They do that actually twice a year. I don't know if you have that on. I don't have the date, but I know it's coming up in March. So we allow little kids to come out. We're looking for the core that I look for, the 4 to 8 year olds, and we put them out there. We have equipment for them. We have sticks for them. It's pretty much learn to skate with equipment on, but and then we have the high school players come out and we work stations with them, and just to introduce them. You just want to introduce 4 to 8 year olds to the game, and the addiction doesn't take long before they stick around.
Well, the other thing too, Jim, I think you remember, and Caleb, a number of years ago, the rap used to be, well, if you want to play hockey and you're a young kid, you're going to be practicing at 5 in the morning on Saturdays and Sundays, and it's not that way anymore. And they've structured it a little differently to make it a little bit more advantageous for the youth.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't do the 5 a.m. practices.
You guys do 9:30.
It's an occasional 9:30 on a Thursday night.
Well, that's it. You guys are in the middle. You guys are in the middle of getting ready for the postseason. You got to take the practice time when you can get it, and get ready. Get ready for these upcoming tournaments and the Barron Cup and then and the state tournament accordingly, right?
Right. Well, you talk about some of the challenges. The fact that we only have so many rinks. There are 6 teams that play out of the rink that we play. Trying to get ice time is fairly difficult.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing with just respect to I know the Brooklyn rink is a big one. The one in Strongsville, it seems like a lot of teams share those rinks. Are there a lot of schools that do have their own rink?
I think the only school that has their own rink is Gilmore, per se. And that's another challenge that we have to face is, the rinks aren't on campus. So it takes some marketing from kids and parents and school administration to get people out to watch the games. I know at Hudson we provide a bus twice a year from the school to the rink to get kids just to watch the game. But, like Jim, he has 7 teams out of his rink. We have 5. it's not a home advantage really, especially when you play the same teams out of the same rink.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one of the bigger challenges.
What rink do you guys play out of?
Hudson plays out at Kent.
Okay. Where do the Reds? I imagine I know where
Chagrin,
you
we
guys
play out of the pond, which is located in Auburn.
Okay.
And we're at Serpentini in Winterhurst.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been to that venue. It's a very nice venue out there for high
We
school
have the same
hockey.
challenge. There's multiple teams playing out of our. We've got St. Ed's and Bay Village and us, and so there's a number of teams playing out of there as well.
I'd like to know who's in charge of that calendar to get practice time and schedule the games,
full-time
and
job.
so none conflict there.
Well, the interesting part, I think, not only our rink but the Strongsville rink, it's one person. It's Mary Kay Baxendale, who has charge of the both rinks, both Strongsville and Winterhurst. And I know she's already coordinating schedules for next year. Our league schedule, we'll actually get it at our league meeting in March.
Oh.
So those dates are already being turned in and being worked on for next year.
Wow, now that's some organization right there. With all your teams, has it been tough to get kids to come out and try out for the teams? I know, you guys are talking about youth, and I think that's really important, to develop and get these kids to understand the game of hockey. Is that important to all you guys, is just to really teach the youth, about hockey and try to develop them and get them into your program?
I'd like to talk about that just because I'm sitting next to one of the primary organizers of it, and it's Mark Ferfolia. Every coach clinic that I ever went to for USA Hockey, he's been instructed one of the classes. So he's been doing this for a long time and knows it well, and one of the principal guys to get the youth started. So, absolutely. We got to have more players. One other challenge that we have, even though we're developing these guys when they're 7, 8 years old, 9 years old or so, is they have a choice. I know where we live to go to private school. Certainly Lakewood could go to Ignatius or Ed's pretty easily. We have University, Gilmore. I have 5 Chagrin kids that go to Ignatius right now. So, they'll go just about anywhere, and they have all kinds of opportunities. So we've got to try and build the numbers so that the public schools are taken care of too.
As Jim says, when you work, and I'm sure Caleb has to do the same thing, when you're at a public school and you're working with kids that hopefully you're going to see in your program someday. I mean, I was working last spring with squirts and peewees at Lakewood's rink that are Lakewood residents. And you try to identify them early and try to work with them. I know we helped them get some jerseys and things to represent Lakewood, and that's kind of what you have to do at the young levels to keep them going.
Yeah, I think that's against recruiting violation, but
not if they're in your own school district.
That's true. That's true. And that's where it's you don't want to cross the line because there's always someone watching. You want to go after the kids in your own school district, of course, but you have Ed's, Ignatius, Walsh, WRA, US, Holy Name, Gilmore, also pulling at your kids too. So I try to do as much as I can. I try to get involved and try to identify kids that are in 6th, 7th grade and go to the school and go watch some games, some youth hockey games, just so they know I'm watching too. I'm not, they're not the only school out there.
Now, was that still the same issue with the kids going off to those private schools before they went to their own league? Was that, or is it a bigger issue now, or has it still stayed the same about kids going?
I think it's still the same. I mean, from what I've seen, I did 7 years at Kenston, 3 years now at Chagrin, and it's been the same kind of thing. It's just so close. I mean, they're so easy to get to. Gilmore and University School are really close to where we are.
I think, because I was on the other side for so many years at Trinity, and I'm going to say that I have no malice towards those schools for what they have to do. I mean, they're trying to get kids in their program, and I think that's great. I think what we have to do on the public school side is we just have to work as hard as we can to make our programs as good as they can to keep those kids. I mean, that's what we have to do, and I certainly don't fault any of the private schools for doing what they're doing because they're trying to keep their programs going, and those are good coaches and good guys as well, and most of them stay absolutely within the rules. So.
Right, and we really all we want to do is have kids play hockey.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the high school season or after, because after the season, there's a whole lot more hockey that goes on that you get. probably don't even know about. But more months of non-season hockey takes place. So.
Are all you coaches involved in like in a club team outside of your high school teams?
I'm not involved. Not anymore.
Not anymore?
Not that I'm coaching high school. No, I'm not involved anymore.
I coach. It's a pre-post program called the Crusaders out of the pond there in Auburn. We have lots of Hudson players on our team, matter of fact, and lots of Kinston players. We can't have any Chagrin players on that team that I coach, but I do that. I coach 3 different teams.
And I've been very involved. I coach the Bantam level at Gilmore. So I'm working with 7th and 8th graders that go to all their schools. In fact, I was just telling Jim before we got on the air tonight that I've got some kids on my Bantam team this year that will be players for him next year.
Yeah.
So it's
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, one of the questions that I have, and you mentioned it earlier, was regarding concussions, especially in such an impact sport like hockey. Have you seen an influx of parents expressing more of a drawback from the sport itself because of that issue? Like, there's kind of I equate it to football in the sense that you've seen maybe a downturn in participation because of the concussion issue. Is that present in the high school level, or is that more on the youth level that you see?
I guess I could put my 2 cents in on that. My philosophy on a concussion is if you're going to get hit hard enough and get a concussion, it really doesn't matter what kind of mouth guard or what kind of helmet you're wearing. Or you're going to get it regardless. Hockey's a very, very safe sport. I mean, it's so hard for these kids to get hurt. They're wearing $5,000 worth of equipment on. I mean, when someone goes down and gets hurt, it's more of an ego thing, or they couldn't do something they wanted to do, and they just kind of flop around on the ice, and they're fine 10 seconds later. You'll see them back out on the ice. But we had a player this year that he had multiple concussions. It became a concern, and he had to stop playing. Mm-hmm. It's a contact sport.
Right.
You're going to get hurt one way or the other. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. You're going to have injuries, and that's going to happen in any contact sport. But, I mean, these are 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids.
Mm-hmm.
Their hurt doesn't last that long, But we do have to watch the concussions. We don't want them,
I would agree with Caleb on that. I think one of the things is we've all had so much better training in regards to identifying the issues with concussions, recognizing it, and I think working with our trainers at our individual schools. I mean, 30 years ago, we didn't do any such thing as baseline testing before the season for concussion training, and we're doing that now. And I think with any one of us, the second you fear that there's any type of a concussion or head injury, you're looking to the trainer and you're deferring to that trainer to follow the right protocol. Because certainly we don't want any of these kids to have long-term injuries.
All right, let's jump back now to the Barron Cup, and we'll talk a little bit about your teams. We'll first start with Coach Ferfolia at Lakewood. Talk a little bit about the players on your team this year that have made it such a successful season for you, headed into the Barron Cup. That people out there might not know some of the players on your team that have made a difference.
I've been very blessed with some players this year. Our leading scorer is a junior by the name of Mac McFarland. He does a good job, solid offensive player. And our second leading scorer on the team is actually a freshman, Will Holden, who has stepped in and done an outstanding job. They're not blessed with a lot of fellow wingers of theirs. They're having to do a lot of work on their own, and the both of them have done a great job. But like Jim mentioned earlier, and we all mentioned earlier, one of the real keys for us has been our goaltender this year, and it's Will's twin brother Rob, who's in goal for us, and has done just a super job for us. And like any team, I don't know about the other coaches here, but I'm a very defensive-minded coach. I like to build from the net out, and we have been very, very blessed with some strong defensemen this year. One of them is a senior, Donnie McCrae, and another one is a freshman again, Jonas Hupsey, who's played very, very well for us. And we had a transfer student, Patrick Gilman from Benedictine, who's played on defense as well. So, I'm always of the belief if you play strong in your own end, you're going to be in every game, even when that offense isn't working. And so that's where our emphasis has been, to try to cut down on the number of goals. We've done that. I think going into our game the other night, In 11 games, we've only given up 14 goals in our league, or 15
Wow.
goals. So that to me is the key for us being in those games.
Yeah, your for goals against ratio is pretty good. 74, 17 against. I mean, you got a plus 53 in the Blue South there. It leads it by a very wide margin.
Well, that's the key again. I've been accused many times of being defensive minded. So,
how about Chagrin Falls? What do we got going on? Who are some of your some of your main players and some of the support staff?
Well, the leaders of our team are certainly our seniors. So, you take David Herbst, who is a real speedy forward, is a goal scorer. Let's just face it, and he does it with speed. He's got good hands around the net, but most of the time he creates the opportunity with his speed. The other senior, Tommy Malik, 6'5", some say 6'6",
Yes.
with hands and can skate. So he's pretty much a menace to everybody. And just last week, he had 3 shorthanded goals in 2 different games.
Wow. Whoa.
He's got a long reach, so he's just a perfect penalty killer that every coach would love to have. And then on our defensive side, we have Matt Rice, and Matt's again a senior. I made all of them co-captains. There's 4 of them. But Matt is the leader of our defensive core and just a great skater. He was our leading scorer last year from a defensive position. And then Schaefer Berg is another forward of ours, but gosh, he's played almost equal amount of time on defense. So real versatile forward and defenseman for us. And I put him on the penalty kills on D, and then he's out there on forward the next shift. So those 4 are leading the way. But you know what? We're not going to kid anybody. A coach is only as good as his goaltender. Let's face it. And we most certainly start with the defensive side of the ice and work out. We do chalk talks every Thursday, and pretty much every chalk talk we're talking about how to play defense.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we realized when we were talking about the league, a week or so ago, was about goaltending. Every team that was at the top had a pretty impressive goaltender with an unbelievable amount of saves. I mean, I can't remember who was at the top who had over, was it 100 saves?
Something like that, yeah.
And a probably 93% save rate. So it was pretty impressive to see.
I got to mention our goaltender, Ben Winovich, because he's done an incredible job. Last year we had Jackson Markley, and he was our only senior. He set the state record for number of saves. Okay, so that tells you what kind of team's in front of him if he's getting that many shots and saves. But but you would think it would be hard to replace him. But Ben's been training for 2 years. In behind him, didn't get much game time behind Jackson. But boy, you put him in a game, and he's just a real gamer, great athlete, and has really come on for us. He made the difference mostly for our record.
So I'll tell a story for all of you. I've told this a couple times when Jim talks about saves and this, that, whatever. I have to tell us. My first game ever as a head coach was 1979, and we were playing Garfield Heights. And back then, there was no red, white, blue. Everything was geographical, and there was no 10-goal limit. If you got beat, you got beat. So our opening night, we played against Garfield Heights, and our goaltender on opening night made 108 saves.
Oh,
I'll never forget Scotty Brand, and we still got beat 19-2. So it was 117 or 127 shots on opening night.
You definitely earned some chocolate milk there, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, if you're a goaltender, are you yelling at your defense after a game like that? Or are you just like,
After a game like that, you can barely talk.
I think he was just exhausted.
I'll yell at you tomorrow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Well, you say he'll yell at tomorrow. The next day, we played against Valley Forge, who was very good back in the day, and he had 89 saves the next day. So
Holy. That's unbelievable. Now,
Easy night.
Yeah.
Good night.
now, Caleb, you and Hudson, talk about some of the players on your team that contributes to having a successful season in your division.
Let's see. We have senior Max Cole, forward. He's pretty speedy. Got a real nice shot. We have Chandler Costas. He's also a senior forward. Really nifty. Kind of hyperactive. But he's a go type of guy. He's the only player I've known that texts me at 3 o'clock in the morning asking, like, what are we going to do for today?
Wow.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
Did you respond back, though?
I always respond back.
Okay.
Wow, that's impressive.
I always
too.
respond
Go to
back.
bed?
Yes. He goes, go back to bed. And he's like, well, I'm up for the day. So,
Man.
he's a good kid. Then we have on our defense, I would say, we have Blake Lorai. He's a sophomore. Very solid defenseman. Really tough to beat one-on-one. Probably the hardest kid to beat in our division one-on-one. We have senior Jake Movshin. Big, strong, steady. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Tends to be just a solid guy. And then back we have Stroud Core. He's only been playing goalie for 4 years. So he's been working really hard. He didn't see a lot of ice time last year. He's going to Dickinson College on a lacrosse scholarship for goalie. He's lacrosse goalie turned ice hockey goalie. It's actually turned out to be pretty good. So
That's awesome.
all we just tell him, just stop the puck.
See puck. Do not let
let it
puck
get
get in
past
goal. Got it. Like it. So you're in the Red North Division. You have some very tough competition up there. You have Shaker Heights, Rocky River. Even Metzer, Kenston, and Western Reserve. They might not be having the best of seasons, but same with the rest of your divisions. Is it playing these league games? Is it grind in day game in and game out, playing the same teams?
Every game's tough. Every game is tough. We talk about taking it 5 minutes at a time. Work our way through the first 5 minutes, see how we're doing. Then we'll go in the next 5 minutes, and then we'll see how we're doing after the first period, after the first 3 sets of 5. Can't take a night off against anybody. I mean, some of these kids can really put the puck away. If you let them loose one-on-one, next thing you know, you're going to be down 3-0. We found that out against Shaker last week. Before we knew it, we turned around. It was 3-0. We had to battle back the whole game. We ended up winning 6-4, but it happened so quick that we really didn't realize that, what we just did.
Right.
I think we scored 4 goals in 6 minutes or something like that. But anyone can beat anybody. And I'm talking from Blue Division all the way up to the Red, all the way through the Great Lakes League. Any night. These are high school kids. You don't know what's going through their mind. You don't know what happened during the day. They broke up with their girlfriend or failed a test or something. The mental capacity, it's just, they're just kids. They're just kids. You got to remember that. But like I tell everybody all the time, you're playing the same game, and you're all pretty much the same age, and you all go to high school. So, it comes down to mostly effort.
Yeah.
The talent and skill does play a big part, but if you don't have the effort, it can happen, and it can happen quick.
Now, you guys got on a winning streak now headed into the Barron Cup. You guys, I believe, won 12 games and you guys got hot, obviously, at the right time. You take your 12-game winning streak in. Is that something that how do you get your team to really focus? 12 games, winning 12 games, getting the confidence and not easing up, especially headed into the Barron Cup. You win those 12 games, and it's pretty easy to start letting up, saying, you know what, we always find a way to win. Let's take it easy here in this game.
Yeah, and you can ask any of our players. I don't take it easy on any of them. We just skated pretty hard last night. It's just one game at a time, one period at a time, one day at a time. We don't look forward, we don't look back. We just look at what's happening right now. The 12 games we've won, it doesn't even seem like that. It seems like we just won the last one, and that was it. The kids are pretty positive in practice. When we're down in practice, we're going to skate. We do things a little bit differently. We play music on Mondays. If they perform well, then they get music on Mondays. If they don't, then they get to hear my music. So, which unfortunately is, somewhat the same, but I tone it down a little bit. But we reward them when they win, but you gotta let them know when they're not doing the things you want them to do. But like I said, 12 games in a row. Someone told me that the other day, and I was like, oh man, I didn't realize it was 12 games in a row.
Yeah.
All I know is that we beat Western Reserve in the last game. We have a big game coming up.
Yeah, and Jim, you guys also have a big game coming up. You guys have a chance to clinch the division, against the second place team, Benedictine. You guys have already played them twice this year. What's the mindset going into that game from your perspective and the player perspective?
First off, we're ready. but it's going to be anybody's game. I mean, like I said, we split. The scores are pretty much the same. We know them very well since we've been playing them a long time. They were in the same division last year, so we know them really well. I've coached some of the guys on their team as well. They do have smaller numbers than we do, so they usually are running maybe 10 guys or so, and we can run a little bit more. So I'm hoping that ability to send more players out will work in the end for us. Mm-hmm. But we definitely got to win that game.
Now, do your guys ever look in the white north and see Avon? They're at 9-0 in the league play. You guys are 8-0. Do they ever say, "Man, we want to get to the Avon game"? Do they ever look ahead, or do you keep them focused and grounded on, like Coach over here said, Coach Wyse, one game at a time?
Yeah, Caleb's right on. I mean, we just play for each shift, right? Wins and goals we teach are byproducts of good effort, hard work, and you got to win your shift, win your battle to a loose puck, and everything else will work out from there. So we don't look at Avon. I mean, we did play them earlier in the season, and it was a nice close game. So we're not looking forward to that. We got to get by Benedictine and NDCL 2 this weekend, and then as we move into the Barron Cup. So we're excited just to play them. Orange always battles us, and we just played them. That was a tough game, and if we are fortunate enough to end up in first place, we'll see Orange again in the first game. So and that'll be a really tough game too.
Now, we talked about Lakewood. They're in the Blue South, and they're tied for first place with Brooklyn.
Big game.
Yeah, huge coming up.
Well, we have a huge game against Brooklyn. Unfortunately, we have to tell the truth on everything. Lakewood, they do have a game in hand on us.
Yep.
And we have 2 losses in the division, so they pretty much are the division champion at this point. So our role this Saturday night will hopefully be to be the spoiler.
There it is.
We played them earlier in the year. They beat us 4-2. It was a real good hockey game. The last goal was late in the third period, so it was a good game. We're just focusing, like the other 2 coaches said, on every shift, one game at a time, one shift at a time. We think we can match well with them, but, boy, Ryan Kelber's done a great job with Brooklyn this year. They've just beaten everybody, both in our division and out. So we're just focused. It's our last home game. It's senior night, and hopefully we'll be ready to go. And then the next day, I think everybody's questioned me, am I crazy? We're actually playing on Super Bowl Sunday against Avon Lake. And Avon Lake is the kind of the undisputed king of the blue division right now in the other division. And they're saying, why are you playing those guys? Well, it's not a bad idea to play somebody and get a look at them before the Barron Cup.
Right.
So
there you go.
No matter what the situation is, we wanted to play them and see what they've got. So and they're a great team. Fran's done a great job with their team.
Well, that game will be over before the Super Bowl. You'll be all right.
Yeah, that's a Super Bowl game
Super
right
what?
there.
It's a good warm-up.
Oh, yeah. Can't say the word Super Bowl.
Big game, the big game.
Yeah, that's
game.
On every commercial now, yeah. There was a commercial that was bleeping it out.
Great. We're going to get sued now.
Actually,
If someone wants to come after us, more power to them.
Yeah, exactly.
actually,
Seriously.
I'm really looking forward to getting back to watching that game. One of the kids that I coached in football at Trinity, who then became our football coach in the AD, is actually the assistant quarterbacks coach for the Patriots, Jerry Shaplinsky. So,
Oh, wow.
So it's always exciting to see when Jerry gets to that level. And
Yeah, and their quarterback's
wishing him luck.
okay.
He's kind of good, I
He's
guess.
all right.
Going into the Barron Cup, this is for all you guys. Do you guys have to change your philosophy or game plan, knowing that some of the teams in the Barron Cup that you've played probably know some of your strategies or game film? Is there anything that you guys would change before going into the Barron Cup next week?
I think anytime you approach playoffs, it gets a little tighter. I mean, you're not going to have the free flowing because more teams are willing to block a lot of shots. I mean, they're going to throw their body out in front of you. They're going to play a tight checking game, and they just have the adrenaline because it's a playoff game. One game and you're out. So that's what I see. So we need to just give that effort, work hard at every shift. Like I said, every loose puck. And on the defensive side, I think we got to tighten it up. So that's what we're looking for. We're not going to change our game too much. We are who we are, and I think everybody's seen that. So
Very nice. How about the rest of you guys as well?
I've always had a philosophy of we're not going to change what we're doing, especially if we're winning.
Right.
We're going to try to make the other team change how they're going to play against us. So we're going to make them adjust us to what we're doing. We're going to use our speed. We're going to play tough defense, and we're just going to try to do what we've been doing all year and just keep it going.
We have some basic things that we like to do, but we do have a couple wrinkles that we've put in, because a lot of times you might be using a particular forecheck and it's not working against what somebody's doing. So you have to be able to make some minor adjustments in mid-game, and it's very difficult to make those adjustments if you haven't gone over that at some point in practice. So, we've just gone over some things that maybe we haven't used for a while this year just to have them in case.
Guys, any last questions? I have one more question.
Okay. Well, I just want to say good luck to all three of your guys' teams. We're looking forward to
Hey,
hopefully
thank you very
catching a couple games at the Barron Cup. But yeah, definitely wish you guys the best of luck in the upcoming tournament and state tournaments too.
Yes.
One last question: who do you guys have in the Super Bowl?
Big game.
I mean,
The big game.
Yeah,
The big game.
We're
gonna
we
get
went over
sued.
this. I know the big game. I'll just bleep those
They're
out.
going to take
when
away
I,
our
when I need
mixing
it.
board.
I was
again.
thinking, I was going to say that's what they're going to take our mixing board with our microphones too.
Exactly.
We talk loud enough. This might work.
I have to like the Patriots.
Oh, I'm going with Atlanta.
Atlanta. All right.
Tiebreaker.
I think it could be a close one.
There's only one football team I root for, and that's Cleveland Browns.
There it is.
There we go.
Like this guy.
There we go.
Wow.
I don't care, but I just want to see a good football game.
There it is.
There you go.
Well,
Guys, thanks for taking time to join us
Yeah,
tonight.
thank you very
Appreciate
much.
you coming out, and good luck next week in the Barron Cup and the rest of the season.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
All right, want to welcome all the coaches. Head coach from Hudson, Caleb Wyse, Chagrin Falls, Jim Revak, and Lakewood head coach Mark Ferfolia for joining us here at Z's Cream and Bean. We'll step away, take a short break. When we come back, talk a little bit more hockey here on Sports on Tap. Don't go anywhere.